Something that really ticks me off more often than not is being called a women entrepreneur. And I've always wondered what this immensely successful founder and CXO of one of the earliest unicorns in the country, ShopClues, thinks about when she is called as the first woman to enter the Unicorn Club in India. In this episode of CXO Talks, I get into a conversation with none other than Radhika Ghai, founder and CEO of kindlife.in, an eco-conscious D2C brand that promises no toxins, no trash, no trolls. In this very candid and vulnerable conversation, Radhika brings up some less talked about but very important aspects of a founder's journey. Radhika talks about founder anxiety, her addiction with building not just ventures, but also the lives involved as we build teams, the best time to get into the startup journey, and about the women who are building and shaping India, and of course, a lot more. A moment in our conversation had me thinking how CXOs and leaders must be both ruthless and kind. Now, let's hear what this CXO talks. Hi, Radhika.
Hello, Sonia. We're finally doing this.
Yes, we are very, very, very welcome to this episode of CXO Talks. And, it's an interesting thing whenever I speak to a CXO or an entrepreneur who are high achievers, most of the times to the outside world, the persona or the avatar that people think of a CXO is that of a high achieving, ruthless, energetic, maverick. And it's always glorified, right? That's the kind of persona. And most times, unfortunately so, the persona that people think of a CXO is a male. Unfortunately so.
Yeah.
But here I have you, Radhika, today, who's been at the helm of being an entrepreneur multiple times in your life. And yet, something that I often read and hear about you is that you've been the quote unquote first woman to enter the Unicorn Club, which was, of course, with the last venture ShopClues, which drew the most eyeballs. What do you feel about that? Let me ask you to start with.
Oh my God, the loaded question, huh, Sonia? So I think, you used all these words, maverick and somebody who's at the cutting edge, all of that. I think that's all true, right? To be able to achieve or to be able to build out what we're all trying to do, you need that extra edge. You need those just 4 hours of sleep and everything else. वो sustainable नहीं है. Whenever I hear about myself described the way you just described it, I'm like, किसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं? Do I know this person? I think more than anything else, when we talk about CXOs, when we talk about achievement, and when I think about it myself as well, and I think about myself as a little bit of an addict. I hate using that word, but true. Addict, to be able to try and build out something the third time around. There is no other word. You're a sucker for fucking punishment. Sorry, bad word. But yeah, you really are to be able to do that. But the kind of high that building gives us, we're founders, we're startup enthusiasts, we are CXOs. But at the heart of it all, we're all builders.
Yeah.
And the high that building gives you, along with everything else, is just unimaginable.
Mm-hmm.
I was coming out of the airport one day and there was this guy who was standing outside. And this is about 8-9 years ago. There was this guy, we were 2 years into building ShopClues, guy standing outside with the ShopClues box, waiting for his family to come in. And he had a gift in that for his daughter. And first woman to enter the Unicorn Club, that guy standing there with the ShopClues box, the guy standing there with the ShopClues box. I will take that feeling any day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
I hear you. And, I can just imagine you being there at the airport and seeing this and how that might have felt. Yet, having built a unicorn and now starting up again with Kind Life. I really want to understand. For me, again, this is, with Vine, of course, this is the second venture, but the first one just failed and I moved on. But you've built something really big and now you're starting up again. What all do you get to listen? What all do you hear? And what does this journey make you feel? Is there any anxiety that comes into picture?
Oh my God. Okay. So we're getting into it completely. So I think one of the things that we don't talk about enough, Sonia, is founder anxiety. And founder anxiety exists at all levels and at all stages. When you're starting out your first venture, when you're starting out your second venture, when you're going out hunting your first rupee that comes in as a venture capital fund, whether you're working on getting your first dollar in as your revenue, whether you've become a unicorn and now have to go in and build out further valuation, founder anxiety is real. And I really want everybody out there who's an aspiring founder, starting founder, thinking about doing a startup to know this, that you're not alone. Founder anxiety is real. We are here. We know that building anything is not easy. And being able to go out and tell your story, make others believe in what you will build out, make others believe in your vision is a phenomenal feat. At the same time, requires every ounce of strength out of you.
Yeah.
So doing it a second time around, again, I keep going back to the same thing. It's like being an addict, right?
Yeah.
That's it. You want to do it. After I exited ShopClues, I was in contract for a couple of years. That ended last March, and then again up in the air. Ki ab kya kare? Take a corporate position, join a couple of boards, see if there are any VC positions that we should be talking about. Had a couple of conversations here and there, but ultimately, I believe that I am a born builder. This is what I was meant to do. This is what I will do. This is what I enjoy doing. Am I doing it slightly differently from when I did it the first time around? Yes, 100%. If you don't learn from your mistakes, then Bhagwan Malik hai. But am I doing the same thing? Yes. Incredibly proud of what we built out at ShopClues. Want to be incredibly proud of what we're building out at Kind Life. Just want to be incredibly proud of the fact that we are building.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And I think in that process of building, the growth that comes with it is something that founders enjoy the most, not only in your own self, but the fact that you hire teams, you build them. You're not just building a venture, you're building a team, you're building personalities. And that's an incredibly overwhelming feeling.
I think that is one of my most favorite things about building out. So my co-founders currently at Kind Life both started their careers with me at ShopClues straight out of MBA. So we worked together for 5 to 6 years, and then they went on to do their own respective ventures. One joined a VC firm, the other one started his own venture. But when you do it the second time around, you have the opportunity of building out a dream team and do it in the best possible way, though that's a blurry definition. Build out a dream team for sure, and that's been I feel touchwood incredibly lucky to be able to do that. And part of building is definitely, as you said, just building out people. And at ShopClues, we had about 750,000 micro, small, medium enterprises that were selling on the platform. Some of them have already built out $500 million businesses on their own. A lot of the D2C brands that are in the market right now, I know they started their journey on ShopClues. And I feel incredibly proud of that we gave them the opportunity. The last 10 years, or I'd say the last decade, was all about bringing Bharat online, bringing people online. And Jio, of course, was a major, major catalyst. This decade is going to be all about bringing Bharat or bringing the Indian brands to the world, right? D2C is a strong marketing, is a strong product-based focus. That also means that you don't necessarily have to have gone to IIT to be able to build out a consumer tech company anymore. Anybody who has a good idea and has fabulous execution can build it out. So you see brands coming out of Jaipur, Minimalist out of Jaipur, Beardo, Renee coming out of Goa and Ahmedabad, and this Kiros that's coming out of Lucknow. And these are all not classic entrepreneurs as you would have thought their definition to be over the last 10 years. And I really want to say that we've played a significant role in the journey of the Indian consumer tech ecosystem as well. And it feels damn good. I think that is something that I feel so much more proud of.
And you should be, you totally should be. And, that also creates so much aspiration for a lot of other entrepreneurs, Radhika.
Bilkul.
And at the same time, you've talked about that transition of how it is now time for Bharat to go global, for the Bharat-owned brands, homegrown brands to really go out to the world. Tell me about this, from that journey where you were the internet e-commerce entrepreneur who started ShopClues to now starting Kindlife, which is now a D2C business. Of course, these are terms, these are verbiage that we use, but what else has really changed? What is it that you see as a stark difference between the time that you started many years back to now starting up again? What has really changed?
So I'll tell you what has remained consistent for me, and then I'll tell you what's changed. I'm a consumer person at heart.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a consumer person from the day I started my career. My first job was at Lintas in Delhi, so consumer. Went on to the US, did a short stint with Goldman Sachs, and then went on to work with Nordstrom, consumer completely. ShopClues was definitely about bringing the demand and supply together and magic would happen. But there as well, my angle was always consumer. Bringing the 400 million Bharat online. 10 saal ki mehnat, trying to get them online and shop with us. That has not changed. Kindlife, again, is a consumer story. The consumer is ready to buy. What will happen over the next 10 years is our consumption economy will go from 1.8 trillion, 2 trillion, depending on what report you're looking at, to about 6 trillion over the next decade. So 3x growth, right? Now, 3x growth, all of this is driven by two main themes. And one of them is to buy better, and the other one is to buy newer categories. And this is also where the whole D2C game comes in, because suddenly the consumers I want to buy a better coffee than just Nescafe.
Yeah.
I mean, no disrespect to Nescafe, but I want to buy Sleepy Owl. I want to buy Blue Tokai. I want to be able to consume the best that India has to offer. Till now, a lot of the best that India had to offer was being sent outside India. And as consumers, if we wanted to consume that product, we'd have to get it back from the US or get it back from outside. That has changed completely. The best that India has to offer is available for Indian consumers today.
Yeah, right there.
Right there. मैं मतलब 5,000 की TWG की कॉफी लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. Please go buy Vadam, which is a fabulous brand in itself, right? I'm a coffee connoisseur, so I can tell you all about the coffee and why I love Sapco and why I love Blue Tokai over any of the other brands that were available in India so far. Now, having said that, I think going back to your question on what has really changed over the last decade, we've brought people online over the last decade. We've brought businesses online. Now, these are the brands that we will take outside India, and we will build these out for the discerning Indian consumer as well. I was one of those consumers who would go buy Clinique, buy Estee, and all of those. I use only Indian brands now. I use Sadev. It's a fabulous brand. Mama Earth is an amazing success story from the business point of view, but even from the product point of view, it is great. To be able to put all of your Nani's wisdom in a bottle and give it to you, what could be better than that?
Absolutely.
What could be better than that, right? So I think that's the beauty of our country. And ये सब कहने के बाद भी internet penetration, e-commerce penetration is what, 4, 5, 6, 7%? Nothing. Now come down and look at the demographics of our beautiful country. Gen Z. 480 million Gen Z in India. Add another 300 million millennials. We are a young country at heart.
Yeah.
And even consumers who belong to a different generation, possibly me, but let's not go there. But we kind of lean on the younger generation to discover trends, to discover products for us, right? A country or the consumption in a country, in any country, is typically led by the youngest generation. That just makes us a phenomenally large ground for growth. Absolutely. And everything else that and a lot of kudos to the government as well, right? When you look at our GDP, when you look at how discretionary income has grown, consumption has grown, a lot of it is, of course, just the way our country is. घर पे रहते हैं, mom dad के साथ रहते हैं, rent नहीं देते हैं, etc., etc. So disposable income is higher, but we are. It's a phenomenal opportunity. Phenomenal opportunity. I think early founders in the 2010, I would say 2008 to 2018 era, they were there for the opportunity, but they were there for a vision of the opportunity. Now founders are there for the opportunity. Absolutely. Right? That was a vision. When we started ShopClues, it was, I think, about 10 million consumers in India. And we were just talking about the number of people who are consuming podcasts in India, right? And you said that number is 90 million, going to be 90 million shortly. Yes. Phenomenal, right? That's more than the population of most of the countries. So I think that's, I don't know if I diverged away from the question, but this is the most exciting part.
It is.
So anybody sitting on the fence about whether I need to be a startup entrepreneur, whether I need to be a founder, कूद जाओ भाई, कूद जाओ, इससे better time नहीं है, literally.
And in India, there cannot be a better time.
Cannot be a better time.
And, you very rightly pointed out, Radhika, the opportunity, while it is there and people are now jumping in for the opportunity, but the push that we've received from the government to make startups really aspirational, I think, is significant in making this contribution.
Absolutely. So and there's one more topic that's very, very close to my heart, and I should point it out. A couple of days ago, Mint came out with a list of 100 women entrepreneurs.
It did. And you were there. I saw that.
I was there.
Yeah.
But 100 women entrepreneurs. 100. It's just the weight of that is phenomenal, Sonia.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. I remember in 2011, 12, 13, conversations with Upasna Thakur, Moby Quick. Well, let's do something. But there's just 3 of us. There's just 4 of us. 100 women who made it to the list. And I possibly know another 1,000, 1,200 who are ready to make it to any next list that's there. The magnitude is phenomenal, right?
It is.
But just over the last 2 to 3 months, I've attended CXO, which is Kalari. They do, and Vani is phenomenal about that. She's putting her money where her mouth is. She Capital, that was Anisha's event, and she had an event in Goa which was all about women entrepreneurs. And then we have these phenomenal organizations that have emerged. There is Leap Club, there is Lady Leap Club with Ragini, there is Ladies Who Lead, which is with Abha.
There's All Ladies League, there's so many.
So many of them, right? And the conversations that are happening behind closed doors there are business kaise bataye? Paise kaise raise kare? What should your cap table look like? Is venture debt good for you? These are the right conversations to have.
Absolutely, they are.
So that's the biggest change in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And you know who our biggest champions are? Our biggest champions are the men in the room.
Interesting.
And that's the only way the narrative will change. Because main, aap, abha, all of us have been screaming for a while, right? Give us level the playing field, level the playing field, level the playing field. It's when the men stand up and say, yes, the playing field needs to be leveled. That's the narrative that needs to change. And I believe that's where it's changing. That's the most important thing.
On that note, while there's so much that I need to ask, but on that note, what also comes to me is the fact that while we really shout out equality, it's more about equity, right?
Yes.
Because everybody comes from a different place, and that's how when men say that yes, the playing field needs to be leveled, then you really know that there's everybody involved in bringing that equity into play. And the fact that you talked about how all these women communities are thriving and having the right conversation also brings to me a very critical point of view here, which is the fact that women are known to be the kinds who nurture, the kinds who are filled with a lot of compassion. And whereas when it comes to leadership, when it comes to being a CXO, being an entrepreneur, the question that we started with, right? We looked at in a very different perspective, and coming to the fact that you have a venture called Kindlife, I would love to know your thoughts on what is your take on kindness at work, on empathy at work, and where does it play in a leader's journey, in a CXO's journey, and for high achieving entrepreneurs, and what is it that women can take away from this is what I would love to know.
Yes. That's a topic very close to my heart, right? Now, kindness is or being kind. It's an action. It's not a feeling. A lot of us feel that kindness is a feeling. It's an action. It's called being kind. You have to take an action. Now, let's take the example of a surgeon, right? He goes in and there's a patient there who's got gangrene and he has to cut his leg off. He's got to amputate his leg. That's kindness. He has to be ruthless. But that's being kind to the patient. And I think that's where the misunderstanding creeps up. We think kindness means being completely soft, not being able to take decisions, trying to keep everyone happy. That's not what kindness is. It is about, and that's not what empathy is about either.
Mm-hmm.
It is about having a clear vision in mind and being able to take a step towards the right direction. So even at Kindlife, there are two elements to it, right? As a leader, how do you implement it? I won't say that I am not ruthless. I will also say that I am kind. And I'm proud of that. I'm building out an organization that lets you make mistakes, but you cannot make the same mistakes twice.
Yeah, you cannot afford to.
That's it. It's really as simple as that. If you're going to fail, it's fine. Stand up and get to it again. And we are standing behind you. But if you're going to make the same mistake again and again and again, then that's something that you need to think about. And that's what kindness is. It is not about just standing there and letting people walk all over you. I think that's the misconception. Now, even at Kindlife, right, our philosophy is very different. Our philosophy is that kindness is a spectrum. Leading a kind life is like being on a spectrum. Every day you have to be better than yesterday. So Kindlife is for vegans, but it's also not a philosophy where if there's somebody who's a meat eater or is consuming any of the animal products in the products that they apply, that they're evil. That's not our philosophy. We'll give you a product that's better than the product that you were using. We will give you services that are better than the services that you're using. We'll give you master classes that make you better, but just better than yesterday. One step at a time. Today has to be better than yesterday. And that's really how large organizations are built, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
From outside, we might think कि अमन को देखो उसने कितना बड़ा बोट बना दिया है, बहुत बड़ा बोट बना दिया है, पर एक दिन करके, right?
Yeah. One rung at a time.
One
right?
ring at a time, right?
Yeah.
When he says कि हम भी बना लेंगे, let us also know that he has a process in mind. That's what our lives need to be as well. They need to be a process.
Yeah.
Today, I need to be better than yesterday. And that's the most important thing. Consistency is a part of kindness. Better living is a part of kindness. Being empathetic to people is a part of kindness. And that's all a very integral part of being a leader as well. Your team needs to know what to expect from you. They can't be catering to a different leader every day. Yesterday she was really nice. Today she's shouting and throwing a fit. But why is she shouting and throwing a fit? क्या हुआ? क्या action पे क्या reaction मिलेगा? थोड़ी predictability is always helpful. But then being kind means that you help people become better, whether it's within your organization or outside.
Absolutely. I think something that also strikes to me is that this is something that then needs to be communicated as a part of the culture of an organization,
Absolutely.
right? That kindness may not always look like being softly spoken to.
That's right.
It can also come in the form of harsh love or tough love, as they call it.
That's right. Absolutely right. I think as a mom, I see that as well. There's nobody I love more than my two children, right? It's just, let's be moms love, whatever, everybody has a mom, everybody has kids. Please know that is it. It's essential. Does that mean I am mollycoddling them the whole day long? No. It is important that they learn. Am I kind to them always? 100% of the time. Even in my tough love, I'm kind to them. And that's how I am to my organization as well. And that's how a good leader should be.
Beautiful and really profound. Yeah.
It really is. I think it's just it's a misunderstanding that we all need to clear.
And something that I want to also touch upon is again going back. While we've talked about this aspect, and there'll be more that I'll be asking you, but something that just popped up for me was very recently. Jeff Bezos just called out to people that, guys, hold on to your luxury spends. There's a recession coming into picture. And I recall that time when, as a part of your ShopClues journey, when you just began or trying to raise money for ShopClues, that was the time when there was news that Amazon is also entering India. And I recall that was the time when your term sheet got withdrawn. And that can be a tough time on yourself, on the organization. A lot of what you want to portray to the world, everything, it just becomes tougher. But bringing that into perspective for other founders, other CXOs who are right now trying to raise money, who might just go through this dry spell, what is it that you would want to share from your experience and suggest that they can take care of?
Yeah. So Jeff Bezos always pops up at the most inopportune times in my life. So I have to say that for sure. You're right. When we got our first term sheet from a really large VC in the US, and we were moving back to the US, and Amazon came out with the news that they're going to launch in India. This was 2011. We pulled the kids out of school, all of that, and they came out with this, and our VC said, "Oh, Amazon's coming in, so there's no space for anybody else." So we lost the term sheet, which was probably one of the best things that happened to us in hindsight. But at that point, it felt like the world was coming to an end. And now, phenomenally, we're back to square one, where Mr. Bezos is making comments, and partly true, right? When you're talking about worldwide recession that's happening, we've not seen this before. We think we saw the worst of it in COVID, but the fact is that today we've not seen the FANG stocks go down the way they've gone down. They're down. We've wiped out. We've wiped out gains of about 8 to 9 years, and possibly more than that as well. But the most important thing, I think, for all of us to remember is that we're in a long run game. It's a long game. It's a long game. It's a long game. It's a long game. Second thing is that the best ideas come in times of uncertainty, in times when you have to conserve capital.
Yeah.
And work on that. Work on that. Anybody can solve problems by throwing money at it. Anybody can do that. And people do it, and it works fine if you're part of the lucky cohort that starts their business at a time when money is more easily available. When it is abundant. But ये भी थोड़ा सा misunderstanding है that money is always abundant. Money is available for good businesses. There has never been the time when people are handing money out. In our small cohort, we might say money is abundant, but overall, it's not. It's given to the best people for executing on the best ideas. Yes. So that is something that you have to be grateful for. There has to be a certain level of gratitude for that. And times when even for the best ideas and the best entrepreneurs, money is not available, at that times, you come out with hacks, come out of the way to make the money that you have last longer. And I think that's the most important thing. Best ideas तभी आते हैं. Best time to start a business. अभी है. Start कर दो, सोचोगे तुम्हें पैसा नहीं मिलने वाला है. And how will you build it out with no money? Yeah. I think that's it.
I think frugality is a mindset that really serves any venture.
Very. Frugality is very important. And even more than that, it is the survival instinct. I'm going to survive this. मैं इसको नीचे नहीं जाने दूंगा, नहीं जाने दूंगी. That's it. I think that's the most important part.
And you talked about the survival instinct, and something that I would love to know, Radhika, from your own journey, is about that time when you felt that you were on this edge of the cliff, when things were going south, when everything felt like falling apart, when the world was just
all the time, Sonia.
Tell me about it.
Kab. Matlab kitna bataye? I think that's the thing. I think it really goes back to the whole thing about founder anxiety again, because in hindsight, and I feel I sound really wise and everything when I say, make every day better than yesterday. I think that's also the only thing that holds true. Only thing that holds true. There are times when I've not wanted to get out of bed, right? You just want to creep under the bed. And both on my personal life front, professionally, there have been
a roller coaster.
Let's just say, and please don't miss the moments is uppercase, bold, italicized, everything. And like in the font, which is larger than everything else on the page. So for a visual expression there have been moments, right? I had a major personal issue with my then husband in 2013. It was just heartbreaking for the family, heartbreaking financially. Everything that we'd saved was gone completely. There were little children involved, all of that. And then with the business, there have been multiple times we've run out of money, had no money to pay salaries, put the salaries on our credit cards, then come back and then sorted it again. So there is, and that's really, and when you're going through it, you feel that you're the only one that's going through it. Let me tell you, no business is built without trauma. Yeah. No business is built without trauma.
Yeah.
And the most important, no business is built without drama, and most lives are not without drama either. At least I feel a life worth living, कुछ drama होना
कुछ तो drama होना चाहिए.
कुछ तो होता ही है. पर कुछ drama you can totally do without as well, but होता है, so you deal with it.
Yeah.
I have a very simple philosophy in all of that. It is about showing up. That is it. Now, whether that was when I was going through my divorce, whether newspapers were covering my personal life and they didn't need to, when the business was written off before it needed to be written off, when people troll you endlessly on Twitter's article comments, and this was when I was going through the divorce, and there's multiple coverage around that, and I remember just one day going in and reading some of the comments under that, and there were comments like, "She just looks like a bitch. She looks like somebody who would stab somebody in the back. Just look at the way she's sitting," and I'm thinking, my God. These people don't know who I am. They've never seen me. They've never met me.
Yeah.
And they all have an opinion on how I should be dressed, what I should be saying, what I should be talking about, and how I should be behaving. And I can tell you today, in hindsight, कि क्या फर्क पड़ता है. But we're all human.
उस टाइम पे बहुत फर्क पड़ता है.
But we are all humans, right? It hurts to read those comments, and it's heartbreaking. But you don't stay home. You get out, you go back, and you do it. You might not want to talk to people, but you get out and do it again. And then you do it again. And then you do it again. And then it becomes better.
Yeah.
But I do think कि जहाँ पे लोग हमें pedestals पे बिठा देते हैं, first woman to build a unicorn, they also pull you down with an equal amount of rigor and vigor, and that gets you. So beautiful statement by one of the top Hollywood actors, where he talked about the fact that be mindful about success because it will go away one day. It's true. But be okay with failures as well, because they go away as well.
Yeah. There's a saying, right, that while failure has no friends, success has many enemies.
Yes.
And, to this also what came to me was the fact that while showing up is essential, and you show up day after day, you make every day better than before. What we often don't realize, and I know this being an entrepreneur, you talked about how there was a time when it was difficult to pay the salaries. There were things happening at the personal front. It was like holding fort on every front, knowing that there's an attack coming from every direction. Yet you show up with a smile. Yeah. And that's something that I see with a lot of entrepreneurs right now, that despite everything, they show up. They continue to do what they need to do. What people do not realize is what has gone behind the scenes. And to that end, what I would love to have is your perspective on how CXOs and entrepreneurs can really deal with such times. Apart from showing up, is there anything from your toolkit that you would love to share as potential advice for people?
I would love to, and you've again used a word that I use very often. A lot of people ask me, what's your leadership style? Are you a benevolent autocrat? Are you a dictator? All of that. Which लगता है कि leadership is a toolkit, right? You pull out the tool that you need at the right time. Whether that's being a dictator, whether that's being a mentor, whether that's being a coach, whether that's being a mother. All of that are tools within your leadership kit, and you have to pull out the right kit at the right time. Similarly, self-care is also a toolkit. And I think that's something that we don't talk often about, with the founders as well. There are times when you need your support ecosystem. We get asked this question, my mentor kaun hai, my coach kaun hai? Koi ek banda ho hi nahi sakta. It's not possible, right? We need everybody in our toolkit. I need to be able to talk to Sonia about, what is happening in the consumer world. What are people listening to? What are the trends that are happening? And that might be on a good day. But on a very bad day, I'd love to meet Sonia for a drink to say, what a fucked up day.
Yeah.
And sometimes she just has to listen and not react. That's about it. So I think having your support system, very, very important. Being able to be transparent with people as equally important. A lot of us use physical exercise or a walk or yoga as part of de-stressing. I do that too, but उससे कुछ फर्क पड़ता नहीं है. मतलब overall, long term, it makes me better enabled to handle stress.
Right.
But I don't think immediately उस दिन कुछ फर्क पड़ता है. What works the best for me is my ability to just think things over, get an action plan in place. What will I do? And I think that's kind of important with a lot of entrepreneurs because we're action oriented.
Yeah.
So while you can mull over the fact, kya ho gaya, what did I do? What am I going to do? Etc. An action plan. For me, that's my go-to toolkit at times of extreme crisis. Is to leave what happened behind, leave what will happen behind in the future as well. Not think about that, but just focus on the fact that what is my action for the day. And that works. So that works for me, but I really don't know how it works for everybody else.
Yeah, I think, the intention is that, a lot of times, a lot of us are trying to find answers, right? What can I do in times of crisis? And sometimes the best way to really find such tools is to just listen to somebody who's gone through that journey and find what can work for me, experiment with it, see if that works for me.
Action. Matlab, I'm a very highlight-oriented day person. In the morning, I get up and I decide that this is going to be my highlight for today. And that doesn't mean that my to-do list is not long. It really is. But what is that one thing that's going to be the most important thing? And it's action-oriented. I have spreadsheets after spreadsheets about just writing it down helps me just organize, think through things. My favorite, and this is a little embarrassing, guys, but like just putting it out there. But my favorite way to de-stress is to take everything out of my closet and put it back again. Reorganize.
I do that too.
Oh yeah, so it is one of those things, that you're like just सब कुछ निकालो फिर से organize करो फिर से रखो वापस. That is it. That's it. So when my kids come home and they see everything on the bed, they're like, we need to stay away from you today. I'm like, no, today's the day you need to stay close to me, babies. So that's what it is.
Yeah. I'm not the only one. That is such a relief, Radhika. Yeah, I think I hear you. That just helps you feel so much better. And you talked about how you look at starting your day with deciding on what will be my highlight of the day. And I would consider this as a part of your ritual. And something that I ask every CXO in each of these episodes is that, to stay sane amidst all the chaos that you go through, what are some rituals, whether daytime, nighttime, whatever during the day, rituals that you really follow and stay true to? Are there things that you'd like to share?
Yes. So my morning ritual is at least 30 minutes to myself with a cup of coffee and to just be. I could even decide to watch some trashy TV at that time. It could be at 5 in the morning. It could be at 6:30 in the morning. It could be at 7 in the morning. But that 30 minutes when I'm just by myself, the kids are either asleep or have gone off to school or me and possibly Bagel, our dog. But that's it. I need that 30 minutes to just get my mind working, to plan. And I've already told you I'm more action oriented. I'm a to-do list person, to-do list kind of a person. So that 30 minutes of just being really helps me center. And that's non-negotiable. So even if I have an early morning flight to take, I'll wake up 15 minutes early and take that 15 minutes with my cup of coffee. That's non-negotiable. And I read at night. I read. So I see all these people talk about the 100 books that they read and all of that. And I cannot emphasize that enough. I read. And at night, I have to read I try to read for 30 minutes. It always ends up being longer. So it cuts into sleep time. But, the trade-off is just, and try to read something that's different from where my work is taking me. Because sometimes we get into this silo, into this cocoon of our work, and that's about all we see. The morning, 30 minutes, and the evening, 30 ends up being a couple of hours as well at times. But that is the time when I'm out of it. It is, for me, it's about what's happening in the rest of the world. What am I doing? What is going to happen? So those are two very critical times for me. My day is what it is.
Yeah.
Like it is for most other entrepreneurs, most other startup folks, most other CXOs. Very busy. I try to keep meetings to the minimal. I don't do meetings that are longer than 45 minutes. All of that. When I have to do my actual writing and actual thinking, I try to do it away from the office, away from my own office. So whether that is at Quorum, which is a co-working space, or any such place, or even a Starbucks, where nobody's coming and knocking on my door every 15 minutes. But that's an important part of me. Or I make office hours where you cannot. I have this little thing that I've built that's like do not disturb. It's a little stand that goes outside my door, so you cannot come in. If that's on, even if the building's burning down, you can't come in because I need that time.
Yeah, it's like that green light, red light.
Yeah, completely. आपके studio के बाहर लगा हुआ है ना live अंदर नहीं आ सकते. I'm very tempted to do that. I should also put live. Don't come in. That's it.
Absolutely, like staring at them. Red. Do not come in.
Very important. Yeah.
I think some very beautiful points that you've thought about from your own life, and something that remains with me was before this question when you talked about self-care, you talked about building your support system, you talked about having an action plan, and then you're talking about your rituals. I think everything just falls in line now. And now we're at the tail end of this episode of CXO Talks, and the question that I would put across would be the question so this is a part of our ritual, CXO Talks ritual, where basically every CXO gets to ask a question forward to another CXO. And so the last CXO that I spoke to was Dr. Neeta Bhushan, and she has a question, and the question goes like this: that what, as a kid, when you were younger, were you told was your superpower? That's one part of the question. And the second part of the question is, and how is that at this stage and season of life?
I like that question also. So I grew up in the army. My dad was in the army. And I'm giving you the background so you know where this is coming from. We're two siblings. I'm the older one, and I have a brother who's about a year and a half younger than me, so about nearly the same age. And for my father, it was very important that equality is sacrosanct. And equanimity, and we talked about that earlier. And I would say equanimity was sacrosanct completely. One of the things that he'd always tell me is nothing is impossible. Yeah. So when I was in grade 4, he was posted in a field station. So we were living in Pune at that time, and I was struggling with math. I could not figure out how to make the D work, कि कौन सा angle है. Just was not working for me for some reason. And that's the only time in my life my dad lost it on me. He'd broken his leg. He was at home on medical leave. And he said, This is not how it's done. This is how it's done. This is the only time he's spoken to me with a loud voice ever in my entire life. And after that, I got 100 out of 100 in math till 12th grade. So 10th grade, 12th grade, I have these certificates from the President of India and CBSE mein milta hai that you're in the 0.001% of India for mathematics, because that was the day it flipped for me. I think that's also what I've grown up with, that nothing is impossible. It was a lot of, and now having said that, also growing up in the army, we didn't necessarily, I didn't know IT is an option. Just didn't know, because nobody is an engineer in the family. There was lack of information, but not lack of ambition. Lack of information, but not the impossibility to achieve something. And I think that is a superpower, right? Nothing is impossible. And nothing is truly impossible.
I think that's what you hold true.
That's, I tell my children this as well. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Look at Rishi Sunak right here. Nothing is truly impossible. Anything is possible.
Powerful, and how it's like powerful beyond measure, Radhika. And I think that's something that I would definitely want. Maybe, I definitely want to title this as Nothing is Impossible as the episode title. Now that you've answered this question, and in such a fabulous, powerful way, I would want you to pass on a question to the next CXO. So what is it that you would want me to ask the next CXO, whoever it will be, on the next episode of CXO Talks?
Oh my God, yes. So I whenever I meet a very interesting person, my question is, why do you do what you do? What inspires you to wake up in the morning? What inspired you to start what you did? Why do you do what you do? And Sonia, maybe one day we need to have that conversation too. Why are you sitting in that chair? Why do you do what you do? Because I think that just tells you so much. It's just, I would love to know that from whoever's on the chair next time.
I will definitely put that across to the next CXO that I speak to on CXO Talks.
Perfect. Looking forward to it.
And it's been a fabulous conversation, and a powerful one at that, Radhika, because not every day do you meet people who have such a phenomenal story to share. A lot of people have, I think everybody has a story, but not many people believe that their story has a power, and thus they decide not to tell it. But the fact that you're sharing the story, and I've had this phenomenal opportunity to have this conversation with you and put it forward to everybody who will be consuming this show wherever they will be, I think just gives me goosebumps, because there's so much impact that it will create. And thank you for being here today on CXO Talks.
Thank you so much, Sonia. I've always enjoyed all your podcasts, and I'm super excited to be on this one. And good luck to everyone. I think and stories, it is, right? They change lives, and hopefully you change more of them. So good luck with everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Radhika.
Thanks.